Okay, so get this. Today we're diving into the world of water management.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a twist.
Oh, interesting.
You sent us this research paper by Dr. Hara Srinivasa Rao.
Right.
It's called Women in Water Management.
Yeah.
And it's packed with stories
Okay.
that'll make you rethink
Yeah.
historying
Yeah.
and maybe even like how you use water yourself.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it is fascinating how we often take water for granted.
It is.
You know, just turn on the tap and we don't think twice.
Yeah, you're right.
But this deep dive, I think it'll really take you on a journey,
Yeah.
revealing the contributions of women to this vital resource.
Yeah.
And I'm talking all the way from ancient times to the present day.
Okay.
So,
I was hooked right from the first line of the paper. No water, no life.
wow.
I mean, it's simple,
Right.
but it kind of hits you like right here.
It does. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It made me stop and think.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, only 2.5% of all the water on Earth
Yeah.
is fresh water.
Oh, wow.
The stuff we need, you know.
That is a pretty stark reality check.
It is.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it really
Just
is.
when you think about the fact that the global population is growing
Yeah.
and the pressure on our water resources is just increasing,
Uh-huh.
it makes you realize how urgent the need for sustainable water management is.
So, okay, we've established
Yeah.
water is essential.
Right.
Water is scarce.
Absolutely.
But what's the connection to women?
Good question.
Yeah, so Dr. Rao's paper, it argues that women are often like the unsung heroes
Uh-huh.
of water management,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to agriculture.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. In many parts of the world,
Yeah.
women are the ones responsible for collecting water
Yeah.
for their families,
Right.
for cooking,
Uh-huh.
for cleaning,
Yeah.
for growing food.
Yep.
So they're the ones on the front lines.
Yeah.
Dealing with water scarcity every single day.
It's not just using the water, it's like they're managing it. you know.
Exactly.
The paper really highlights how, for centuries,
Yeah.
women have been developing and implementing
Uh-huh.
like ingenious solutions
Yeah.
to make sure their communities have water security.
They really have. And
Yeah.
their role goes way beyond just, fetching water.
Right.
They're often the keepers of this traditional knowledge
Oh, interesting.
about water conservation.
Uh-huh.
They're amazing at managing these small-scale irrigation systems.
Yeah.
And they're super involved in making decisions
Right.
about how water is allocated in their communities.
Okay, I am ready for some stories.
Okay.
So the paper, it really zeroes in on the Karnataka region of India.
Yes.
What's so special about Karnataka?
So Karnataka has this really long and fascinating history when
Uh-huh.
it comes to water management. They've relied on these things called tanks for centuries.
Thanks.
Yeah, they're like man-made reservoirs.
Oh, okay.
To store rainwater
Uh-huh.
and then use it to irrigate their crops.
So not just like rivers and wells?
No, no.
These tanks sound like a pretty smart way
They are, yeah.
to like capture and manage the water,
Uh-huh.
especially in a place where, sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't.
They're ingenious.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is that women played a huge role
Okay.
in building and managing these tanks.
Oh, wow.
We're not just talking about a couple of random examples here.
Okay.
It's like a pattern of female leadership and innovation
Mhm.
for centuries.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Girl power.
Exactly.
Love it.
The paper talks about Queens community leaders
Uh-huh.
and even just everyday women
Yeah.
who stepped up to make sure their people had water.
That's amazing.
One of the most incredible examples
Yeah.
is the story of the Shantasagra tank.
Shantasagar tank.
Yeah, also called Sulakeri.
Okay.
It's the second largest irrigation tank in all of Asia.
Wow.
And guess what?
What?
It was built by a woman.
Really?
Her name was Shantava.
Shantava?
Uh-huh. Back in the 11th or 12th century.
Okay, hold on. So we're talking about a massive structure
Massive.
that's still working
It is.
after 1,000 years.
Almost 1,000 years.
And a woman built it.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is.
It just shows you how skilled and visionary these women were.
Yeah.
The Shantasagar tank, it covers 10 square miles.
10 square miles.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That's the water spread.
That's incredible.
It really shows how much they understood about water,
Uh-huh.
about construction and what their communities needed.
Just picturing this woman,
Yeah.
Shantava,
Yeah.
leading the charge,
Uh-huh.
directing the workers.
Right.
Maybe, getting her hands dirty right there with them.
It's an amazing legacy.
It really is.
And it's not just these big, huge projects.
Right.
The paper talks about women who contributed at a local level, too. Like,
Yeah.
there's this story about Bomava.
Bomava.
Yeah, she was a mother.
Yeah.
And about 800 years ago,
Uh-huh.
she made this incredible sacrifice
Okay.
to make sure a village tank was safe.
Oh, wow.
It's a powerful story.
Wait, what happened to her?
Well, the details are kind of lost to legends.
Oh, okay.
But the story goes that she and her twin sons, they did something to make sure the tank was strong,
Right.
and they ended up paying the ultimate price.
Wow, that's intense.
It is.
Like, imagine putting the community
Uh-huh.
before your own life.
It shows how dedicated they were.
It really does.
And you know what's amazing? They still sing songs about her.
Really?
Yeah, during the annual rituals at the tank.
Oh, wow.
It shows you how much they valued water.
It does.
It's like water isn't just a thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's what gives us life.
Yeah, and people were willing to die for it.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these legendary heroines.
Yeah.
We've got these selfless mothers.
Right.
What about queens?
Oh, there were definitely queens involved, too.
Okay, tell me about them.
So, in the late 1300s, there was this queen, Joma Devi.
Joma Devi.
She didn't just order people to build a canal and tank.
Oh, wow.
She was, like, really hands-on.
Okay.
She actually had this, like, detailed contract with the
A
engineer.
contract.
Yeah.
In the 1300s?
Uh-huh.
Wow. That's ahead of its time.
Right.
I wonder if they based contracts today on hers?
That's a good question.
She must have been pretty impressive.
She was.
She knew about engineering
Yeah.
and project management
Uh-huh.
and, like, making sure people were accountable.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And you know what? Her canal is still irrigating land today.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
He is?
She was clearly a forward thinker.
Yeah, this Queen Joma Devi. Sounds like someone I'd want to have coffee with.
Right.
A real powerhouse.
Totally.
And her story shows
Yeah.
that women weren't just, like, passively involved. They
Uh-huh.
were shaping the water
Yeah.
landscape,
Yeah.
innovating, leaving a real legacy.
They absolutely were.
Okay, so it wasn't just about, getting water.
No.
Dr. Rao mentions this Queen's Bath at Hampi.
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
It was this really fancy bathing chamber
Okay.
from the Vijayanagar Empire,
Uh-huh.
probably used by royalty.
So like a royal spa day?
Exactly.
Okay, tell me more.
It's got these arched corridors, pillars,
Uh.
balconies, intricate stucco work on the ceilings.
That's incredible.
It's built in the Indo-Islamic style,
Okay.
and they made it super unique.
So even when it came to something as, like, personal as bathing,
Yeah.
they brought all this artistry
Yeah.
and engineering
Uh-huh.
to the table.
Exactly.
But it wasn't all about luxury, right? I mean,
Oh.
they must have had some serious water management going on
They did.
to keep that thing filled.
It had this whole canal system for filling and dreaming the bath.
That's amazing.
So they were efficient, too.
So it's like
Yeah.
water management was a part of everything,
Absolutely.
from the big projects
Uh-huh.
to, like, the most personal things.
Yeah, it was woven into their lives.
These stories from Karnataka are so fascinating,
Aren't they?
It's like-
Yeah,
looking at history in a whole new way.
I agree.
But Karnataka is just one place, right?
It is.
In Dr. Rao's research,
Yeah.
did you find other examples of women in water management?
Oh, yeah, all over the world.
Okay, let's hear about them.
Well, let's stay in India for a minute
Okay,
and go to Bijapur.
Bijapur.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
I have.
Yeah.
It's famous for its architecture, right?
It is.
Is there a connection to water?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, tell me about it.
So Bijapur has some amazing structures
Mm.
that are directly related to water management,
Okay.
and women had a big influence on them. One of the most impressive is the Chandbagi.
Chambadi.
It's a massive stepwell
Okay.
built by Ali Adil Shah.
Ali Adil Shah?
Yeah, he was a ruler of the Adil Shahi dynasty,
Okay.
and he dedicated this incredible structure to his wife,
Oh, wow.
Chand Bibi.
So it's a love story and a water management marvel.
Exactly.
Yeah, he put
It was a real labor of love. It could hold 20 million liters of water.
20 million liters.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
It's huge.
So what made him want to build something so big?
Well, after the Vijayanagar Empire collapsed,
Uh-huh.
a ton of people moved to Bijapur. It
Okay.
put a real strain on their water resources.
Yeah, makes sense.
So he built Chanbaudi to make sure everyone had enough water.
Wow, that's impressive.
It really is.
He loved his wife,
Yeah,
and he cared about his people.
it's a powerful combination.
Are there any other examples like that in Bijapur?
There are,
Okay.
there's another one called Taj Baudi.
Taj Baudi.
Yeah, Ibrahim II built it
Hmm.
to commemorate his wife, Taj Sultana.
Okay.
It's got this ground entrance arch,
Oh,
an
wow.
octagonal tower.
It sounds beautiful.
It is.
And it provided water.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here.
What's that?
These rulers, they really understood
Uh-huh.
that water was crucial for their people.
It was.
And they weren't afraid to show
Yeah.
how much they admired the women in their lives
It's true.
by, like, naming these amazing structures after them.
Right.
What a legacy.
Amazing.
These structures weren't just practical.
No.
They were symbols of love, devotion,
Yeah.
a lasting tribute.
Exactly.
Shows how much water was intertwined
Yeah.
with every part of their life.
It was everything.
From like personal relationships
Right.
to politics.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We've traveled through time.
We have?
From ancient queens and heroines to these amazing love stories written in stone.
It's been quite a journey.
But what about today?
Yeah, what about now?
Are there modern examples of women making waves?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Making waves, water?
Exactly.
Okay, are there?
There are.
Tell me about them.
So fast forward to the 21st century.
Okay.
And let's go to Rajasthan, India.
Rajasthan, okay.
Yeah, there's this woman there. They call her Water Mother.
Water Mother.
Yeah.
That's a title.
It is.
That commands respect.
It does.
What's her name?
Her name is Amla Rua.
Amla Ruia.
Yeah.
So what's her story?
She works with the Alkar Charitable Trust.
Okay.
And she's trying to revitalize villages that are really struggling with water scarcity.
Okay, how's she doing that?
She's bringing back traditional water harvesting techniques.
Oh, interesting.
Especially building check dams.
No, not those big concrete dams
Yeah.
that can, like, hurt the environment
Right.
and displace people.
She's using a more sustainable approach.
Yeah.
More community-focused.
Okay.
So check dams, they're smaller.
Okay.
They're often made with local materials like masonry and earthen buns.
Interesting.
They work really well in the hilly terrain of Rajasthan.
Okay.
And they're designed to catch rainwater
Right.
and let it slowly soak into the ground.
So it replenishes the groundwater.
Exactly.
It's like she's taking ancient wisdom
Yeah.
and combining it with modern know-how to solve this big problem.
Exactly.
What kind of impact has she had?
It's been amazing.
Okay, tell me.
So her trust has built over 200 check dams.
200.
Wow, in 100 villages.
100 villages. Yeah, think about
That's
it.
incredible villages that have been revitalized.
Yeah.
Lives transformed.
Lives transformed.
It's brought water security to 2 lakh people.
That's a lot of people.
It is.
What about, like, economic impact?
They've estimated it's generated about Rs 300 crore in annual income.
That's amazing.
It shows that simple solutions
Yeah.
can have a huge impact.
They can.
And it proves how much women can contribute.
Uh-huh.
But the paper also talks about
Yeah.
the challenges they face.
Right. So we're talking about women who are, like, keeping communities alive,
Literally.
but they're facing all these obstacles.
It's frustrating.
It is. What are, like, the biggest roadblocks they encounter?
So one of the most obvious issues is that their work isn't really recognized.
Really?
You'd think
Yeah.
with everything they do, they'd be celebrated.
Right.
But a lot of times people
Yeah.
just overlook their efforts. And that means there aren't policies
Yeah.
or support systems designed for them.
It's like
Yeah.
they're invisible.
It's like their work is invisible,
Yeah.
even though it's so important.
Yeah.
And you know what makes it even harder?
What's that?
A lot of rural women face illiteracy and poverty.
Right.
They can't get an education.
Yeah.
So they don't have as many opportunities.
Uh-huh.
It's like they're stuck.
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
It is.
They need education and resources to get ahead.
Yeah.
But without those things,
Right.
it's hard to contribute.
Exactly.
And then on top of all of that,
yeah.
they have to deal with, like, supply chains that don't work well. And they just don't have much money to work with.
So even when they're like
Right.
growing food,
Right.
managing water,
Uh-huh.
they can't really benefit
No.
because they can't get their products to market
Right.
or they can't afford to invest
Yeah.
in better tools or seeds.
It's tough.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
And then we can't forget about
Yeah.
climate change.
That's a huge factor.
It is. It's already affecting so many communities.
Mm-hmm.
And women in agriculture are really feeling it.
They're the ones on the front lines.
Yeah.
Drought, floods, crazy weather patterns.
It's like the rules of the game are constantly changing.
Exactly.
And it's always working against them.
It
Okay,
is.
so this is all pretty heavy stuff.
It is. It feels kind of overwhelming.
I know.
But Dr. Rao, he doesn't just lay out the problems.
No, he doesn't.
He offers solutions, right?
He does.
We can't just leave it there.
We can't.
There's got to be hope.
There is.
So what can we do?
It starts with empowering these women,
Okay.
recognizing their expertise,
Uh-huh.
and giving them the tool they need to succeed.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay, so how do we tackle these big challenges?
Yeah.
Well, one of the most basic things is
Yeah.
improving their access to land,
Right.
resources,
Yeah.
and education.
Right.
Imagine if women farmers had secure land rights.
That would be amazing.
Wouldn't it? They could make decisions about
Yeah.
their own land,
Yeah.
their own resources.
It would be revolutionary.
It
would give them control
Yeah.
over their own destiny.
Exactly.
And it's not just about owning land. It's about training
Okay.
in sustainable agriculture,
Uh-huh.
water management techniques.
Right. Sharing knowledge and skills can make a huge difference.
So it's like
Yeah.
land rights education, training.
Right.
It's starting to feel like We've got
That's
to
a
plan.
start.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
What else?
We need to design development strategies
Yeah.
specifically for the skills that rural women have.
So instead of just
Yeah.
like imposing solutions,
Right. Top-down solutions don't always work.
we need to really tailor programs
Yeah.
to their needs
Uh-huh.
and recognize the knowledge
Yeah.
and experience that they already have.
They have so much to offer.
It's like Queen Chamadevi and her contract.
Yeah.
It's about respecting their abilities,
Absolutely.
seeing them as partners
Uh-huh.
and leaders.
We need to change the way we think about women in agriculture.
I agree.
They're not just helpers.
No, they're not.
They're the innovators,
Uh-huh.
the change makers.
They are.
Okay, so we've got access to land, resources, education,
Right.
and we need to change how we see their roles.
Yeah.
But what about policy?
What kind of policies need to change?
We need policies that fight climate change
Okay.
and promote sustainable agriculture.
So, like, what does that look like?
It could mean investing in crops that are drought resistant,
Right?
promoting water conservation,
Uh-huh.
and developing systems to warn people about extreme weather.
So it's about building resilience,
Exactly.
giving them the tools
Uh-huh.
and the knowledge
Yeah.
to adapt,
Right.
to thrive.
Even as the climate changes.
It's all connected, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Supporting women in agriculture,
Yeah.
addressing climate change,
Uh-huh.
two sides of the same coin. So we've got education, resources, policies.
Yeah.
What about those, like, everyday challenges?
Oh, yeah, the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Investing in rural infrastructure can make a huge difference.
Okay, like what?
Better roads, reliable transportation,
Mm-hmm.
good storage facilities.
So that they can get their products to market
Right.
and not lose as much after they harvest.
Exactly.
It's amazing
Isn't it?
that something this basic as a road
I know.
can empower a woman farmer
Uh-huh.
to earn more money,
Yeah.
provide for her family.
It benefits everyone.
And it's not just about individuals. We need
Yeah.
to support women's organizations,
That's
farmer cooperative.
So important.
Yeah, strengthen numbers, right?
Exactly.
They could share knowledge,
Yeah.
advocate for their rights,
Yeah.
access
It's
resources.
about community.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground
Yeah.
from ancient queens
Uh-huh.
to modern-day water mothers.
Right.
We talked about the challenges,
Yeah.
the
And
solutions.
everything in between.
It's been a real eye-opener.
He has.
I feel inspired.
Me too.
So what's the big takeaway?
Yeah, what do we want our listeners to remember?
What should they walk away with?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that women's have always been at the heart of water management.
Yeah,
You know, they're not just passively benefiting,
right.
they're innovators, leaders, guardians of this precious resource.
As we were going through these examples, I kept thinking about how we usually think of water management as like
Yeah.
these big engineering quotes.
Huge dams, complex irrigation systems.
Exactly. We get caught up in the technology.
Yeah.
We forget about the human side of it all.
And especially the
Yeah.
women who are often the ones on the ground making it all work.
Exactly. And what Dr. Rao's research shows
Yeah.
is that what they're doing is just as important, maybe even more important than those big engineering feats.
I think so.
They're making sure families get water,
Uh-huh.
that crops are growing,
Yeah.
that life goes on. You know.
Absolutely. It's not just about building structures.
No, it's not.
It's about understanding the community,
Yeah.
the social dynamics, the culture, the economics,
Right.
and giving women the power to shape their own water future.
So how do we take all this
Yeah.
and actually make a difference?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah, it feels a little overwhelming.
I can feel daunting, but I think it starts with awareness. Like what we're doing in this deep dive by learning about the history, the problems, the solutions.
Uh-huh.
We start to see things differently.
So it's about opening our eyes
Yes.
to the work that women are doing.
To the invisible work.
Yeah, that often goes unnoticed.
And once we see it,
Uh-huh.
we can start taking action.
Even small actions can make a difference.
Exactly.
Has this deep dive made you think about water issues in your community?
It has.
Yeah, me too.
Maybe it's sparked an interest in getting involved.
Yeah.
Volunteering with a local group, maybe.
I know. I'm going to be way more mindful about how much water I use
Good.
from now on.
Every drop counts.
Every drop counts.
And every voice can make a difference.
I love that.
Imagine if everyone listening
Yeah.
who felt moved by these stories
Uh-huh.
decided to do something,
Yeah.
even something small.
That would be incredible.
We could create a wave of change
Yeah.
bigger than we can even imagine.
We started this deep dive with that powerful statement.
Yeah.
No water, no life.
It's simple, but it's true.
And what we've learned today
Yeah.
is that women, they're essential
Absolutely.
for protecting that life,
Uh-huh.
for making sure everyone has the water they need.
They're the unsung heroes.
They are.
The innovators, the guardians of water.
It's time we recognize them.
Yeah, support them.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And remember, Every action counts.
No matter how small.
We can all be a part of the change.
We can.
Until next time, stay curious.
It's been quite a journey, hasn't it?
It really has.
We've gone from history to engineering to social justice.
Right.
And it's all connected.
Yeah, it is.
So what does this all mean?
What's the big takeaway?
For our listeners.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is that women have always been essential to water management.
I agree.
They're not just like on the sidelines.
Yeah.
They're the innovators, the leaders, the ones protecting this precious resource.
Especially as we face a future with more and more water scarcity.
Right?
Their knowledge, their ingenuity, their dedication.
It's crucial.
It is.
You know, as we were talking about all these examples, I kept thinking about how we always associate water management with like big engineering projects, you know, dams and irrigation systems.
It's true. We focus on the technology and forget about the people involved.
Especially the women.
Really doing so much of the work.
On the ground, in their communities.
Exactly.
Dr. Rao's research really highlights that their contributions are just as important.
If not more important than those big engineering projects.
They're the ones making sure people have water.
That crops are growing. That life can continue.
It's not just about building stuff.
It's not.
It's about understanding the community.
Yeah.
And empowering women.
To be in charge of their own water future.
So how do we take all this knowledge and use it to make a difference?
It's a big question.
It can feel kind of overwhelming.
It can, but I think it starts with awareness.
Awareness.
Like we're doing here.
Yeah, in this deep dive.
Learning about the history, the challenges, the solutions.
It changes how you see things.
It does.
So we need to open our eyes to the work that women are doing.
The work that's often invisible.
And once we see it,
we
can start taking action.
Even small actions can make a difference.
Right, they can.
Has this deep dive made you think differently
It has.
about water issues in your community?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to learn more.
I do.
Maybe you'll volunteer with a local organization.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be more careful about how I use water now.
Me too.
From now on, every drop counts.
Every drop counts, and every voice.
Every voice can make a difference.
What if everyone listening who is touched by these stories decided to do something?
Anything.
It would be amazing.
It would be amazing.
Bigger than we can even imagine.
We started with that simple statement. No water, no life.
Powerful, isn't it?
And I think we've learned that women, they're essential.
Absolutely.
For protecting that life.
Making sure there's enough water for everyone.
For everyone.
You're the unsung heroes.
They really are.
The innovators, the guardians of water.
We need to recognize that.
And support them.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Stay curious.
2010.